Happy 2023, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, I'm going to continue with more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy. If you've been enjoying all of these episodes I've been doing, please do hit like and subscribe. And if you'd like to know when I am going to post, please hit that notification bell. I hope you all enjoyed a happy New Year's Eve, and that you are excited and looking forward to the possibilities for 2023. Usually at the beginning of the year, we all sort of reflect on maybe the past year, the past section of time, and then look ahead to what we think we'd like to accomplish in the coming year. I know I'm still working that out for myself. 2022 was a busy year. I got my short film Space Limbo finished, and I got my Christmas CD, Home for Christmas, done. And thank you so much to all of you who ordered that for yourself or as a gift for someone else. I really appreciate that. It seems to be doing well, so I'm very grateful. And I'm also very grateful to all of you who have been watching these segments over the last 2.5 years now, I guess. I don't quite know what my plan is for 2023. There might be some times, particularly at the beginning of this year, where I have some other things that, some personal projects and things like that I'm going to be engaged in. So I might be posting just a little bit less, maybe once a week instead of twice a week. Might miss some times. So it's a good time to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything when I do post. But I don't know that it's going to be every Monday and Thursday at the moment. But I have no plan right now to stop doing it. I'm just kind of stepping back and figuring out what the next phase of this channel is. And maybe it'll be the same as what it has been. I'll continue to review episodes. I'll continue to take your questions. I'll continue to have guests join me when I can. So as we launch into this year, let's just plan for it to be a good one. What do you say? From Bollocks 1968, who asked, when you were shooting night scenes, were they actually shot at night, or did they use something to make it look dark? I remember you saying that your workday started early and usually finished by a certain time due to union regulations that were in place for the cast members who were still minors. I have always noticed quite a few scenes when it was dark out. Or was it? If we were inside the soundstage, it didn't matter. We could create nighttime anytime because there were no windows in the soundstage. So that was easy. If we were outside, it kind of depended. If we were up close to, say, the front porch, but we were actually shooting it outside, again, the closer you were, the easier it was to block out light and shadows from sun. So we could shoot what we called day for night. But when you had broader scenes, sometimes then you catch in film and TV that it was clearly not shot at night. But there was, I think it was Ralph Sinensky, one of our directors, who shared in talking about, I think the episode The Chicken Thief, that he sometimes found it was easier to shoot day for night because the lighting could be controlled more and you could create certain types of shadows. I hope I am correctly remembering what he had said, and if I am not, I apologize, Ralph, for misquoting you. So it's a little trickier. Lighting at night and actually being able to see what's going on is tricky, but trying to block out bright sunlight is also really tricky. But we did some shooting when it actually was night, because especially in the winter when it got dark early, we could have an hour and a half, 2 hours perhaps of mostly dark. And the camera being able to see it as dark could happen earlier than it actually was dark, because it's how much light was actually getting into the lens, so they could minimize that. The tough thing was bright sunlight, just trying to block that out. So hopefully that's answered your question. This question from Dawn. It's neat that they filled in Drusillas Pond for the episode. Did they dig it back out later? And was that the pond John Boy and his bride rode across in a later special. Yeah, they didn't actually fill it in. I guess they did bring some dirt in. So yeah, they probably did then get a little bobcat or something like that and pull out some of the dirt, but they never totally filled it. They would just put a layer of some sort of dirt or in there. So it wasn't an extensive pile up of stuff. So they probably did dig it back out. And it was the same pond that John Boy and Janet rode across in the episode where John Boy got married. From Lisa, she asked, the Walton house. In outdoor scenes, you see a window above the cellar door. Inside the home, the window is non-existent. Was this an oversight, or did they know it wasn't right? Wow. Well, most of the time when you were inside the house, we were shooting more the other wall that as you were heading into from the back porch into the kitchen area, you would tend to see more the left wall. You didn't very often see the right wall, so I think they were kind of hoping that you wouldn't notice that there really wasn't a window there. I never really paid that much attention to it. I guess you just kind of get used to things not being exactly the same. Windows weren't quite where they were relative to, say, the upstairs bedrooms. I want to correct what I said about the window because I was watching an episode just yesterday and I'd already filmed my answer to your question, and I saw, oh, okay, there is that window above the cellar door. Now inside in the same scene, in the same episode, you see a window by the piano. So I went, oh, that's what that window's supposed to be. Now, clearly it isn't maybe as deep on the side of the house as it appears it is from the outside, but at least the window does sort of exist. It's just a little cheated. So at that point in time, people didn't get to really stop and look at something that closely, or maybe you did from the beginning, you noticed that, but certainly a lot of these things have come up much more as we've been able to watch episodes over and over and also stop and start. So I learned something as well from your question, so thank you very much. I have a question here from Annie, who asked, having been involved in film for so long, do you find that it is difficult to watch movies that are not done well because you have ideas on how they could have been done better? Well, I think if I don't care for something, I'm just not all that interested in watching it in the first place. I might sometimes watch the first 5-10 minutes, and if it doesn't appeal to me, then I just don't watch the rest of it. I find that for the most part, I like to watch things because I enjoy them. Unless I'm having to do research for some purpose, then I might watch things that aren't necessarily my cup of tea, but I want to watch it for some particular reason. But otherwise, I enjoy just being an audience, and whether there's errors or mistakes, I'm not really looking for them. I'm not looking to pick apart projects. If something distracts me, then usually I will pay attention and say, what, wait a minute, something just happened, or they just lost me here. That made no sense, or some major error. But usually the things that bother me most are bad writing and bad acting. Because then I'm not in the story. They aren't people I can relate to or that I care about, or I'm not following the story. I don't care about the story. I'm bored. So if that's the case, then I'm more likely to just shut it off. But otherwise, I am involved in this industry because I love it, because I love making movies. I love watching movies. To me, it's still magic. Even with the things I know, there's still so much I don't know that I can be fascinated by what they're managing to do and the advances and stuff. So I'm still like a kid in that sense, and I just love it. Arnold asked this question. I wanted to know, all you guys went barefoot in the early seasons of the show and yet stopped doing it in later seasons. What was the reason? As I recall, being barefoot was a pretty, from what I understand, realistic, typical thing that happened, particularly during the Depression when, shoes were at a premium And, kids growing feet, stuff like that, they probably wore through shoes if they were worn all the time. So I remember as a child, I ran around barefoot all the time. So for me, it was no big deal. I mean, I ran on concrete, around my neighborhood. It would just, I guess my feet were just a lot tougher. So I didn't think it was any big deal to run around barefoot. And I don't know that any of us particularly cared about running around barefoot. However, there are a lot of things around sets because they build sets. So there's nails and screws and pieces of equipment. And, it's not exactly a pristine area to be running around in. So I think my recollection is that someone stepped on something and probably had to have a tetanus shot or something, and probably a mandate came down from someplace that those kids need to be wearing shoes for insurance reasons, safety reasons, I don't know. So it was something like that, as much as I can recall on it. So all of a sudden, the shoes were back on our feet. That's what I have for you for this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons, Ask Judy. I'll be back with more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons, more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy, and hopefully along the way, I'll have a few more special guests as well. Thanks for watching.